Ever since Dana White announced the POWERSLAP League, people have been skeptical about the show. Recently, it's been revealed how much it pays. Well, it turns out it's close to nothing, but that was kind of expected. Fighters in the UFC have been complaining about payment issues for years.
Far enough away from danger as he starts teeing off.
Brandao looks hurt. Brandao looks hurt. This could be the end.
Big left.
This could be an early stoppage. Another first round for McGregor. This could be it!
That is it! It is all over, and Conor McGregor!
Come on, Dana. And now, one has come forward for the record to say how much the POWERSLAP League was playing. Eric Spicely revealed on Twitter that he was offered to compete in the new show, and much like anyone else, he too was shocked to find out how much they were paying. According to him, it cost $2,000 to show up and $2,000 to win the fight. That does sound like a joke, right? Sadly, it's not. He also showed the MMA reporter Luke Thomas some evidence for his claims. MMA Junkie's Nolan King then approached Spicely with some follow-up questions. The light heavyweight veteran told him that he was approached by the Ultimate Fighter producers, not the UFC or POWERSLAP matchmakers. That sounds weird, doesn't it? Apparently, the TUF producers are also behind the POWERSLAP Road to the Title reality series. They told Spicely about the pay, and he told them he wasn't interested. More power to that guy. The salaries of the competitors in the show are disclosed to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, which voted in favor of regulating slap fighting last November. And much like the UFC's salary structure, this knowledge isn't made available to the public. That's a little too convenient. Anyway, I think Spicely made a wise move, and he made things bolder by revealing it all to the media. Health experts, including a leading neuroscientist, Chris Nowinski, have criticized White for this so-called sport, and they're right. In any combat sport, the competitors are allowed to defend themselves.
Look at that uppercut. Now,
over the top, looking to finish it here. Conor McGregor, another first-round win. Wow! Ultra-impressive UFC debut!
In fact, they're instructed to do so, because there are always risks of injury associated with fighting. But with slap fighting, the contestants are told to hold on to a baton between their backs. What's more, they're told not to flinch. Guys, I can't make this up. It's in the rules of the competition. Nowinski was just livid with a clip he saw of a guy getting knocked out during POWERSLAP. He said that Dana and TBS should be ashamed of themselves for what they're promoting. He believes that the contestants are being exploited without completely understanding the danger that they're putting themselves into. And all for what? A couple $1,000s? That could do lasting damage to the competitors. Is it even worth it? I don't think so. There's a risk of permanent head injury every time the participants are struck in the face. There are also guys who have had their faces disfigured because of this. Imagine walking around with a swollen face or a lacerated lip. Those are injuries that just won't go away. Spicely estimated that the show's overall winner could win somewhere around $12,000 ever, and that's the grand prize. I mean, if he ends up in the ER right after, it's gonna cost him more than that. And that doesn't even include the MRIs and the head scans for the damage that can't be seen right away. The head trauma and the concussions will make sure that these guys won't ever be the same again. The pay isn't even worth it. And remember, most of these guys are not too well off. They're probably coming onto the show just to make some quick money or to get famous. Do you really think they'll be able to afford the medical treatment afterward? But not to worry, the POWERSLAP League has rules. They give participants a mouth guard and earplugs. How does that help against head trauma? I don't know. Strikes to the temple, orbit, nose, ears, or larynx are forbidden.
a gunshot.
Oh, it's coming out from time. It's coming out.
That guy looks good.
But what if someone hits their opponent in one of these areas? Well, they get disqualified. How does that help the guy who already got hit in one of those areas? It doesn't. They also give the competitors 30 seconds to recover after the strike. That's pretty generous. It takes half a minute to recover from an injury that could possibly last a lifetime. To be honest, these rules are in place to prevent any lawsuits against the show. They don't really do much to protect the participants, but the UFC boss clearly disagrees. According to him, they're making sure that everything that goes on there is safe. They have doctors attending to the contestants during and after the fight, and that he's spending the money to make sure that there are two healthy people fighting in there. Well, they might be healthy before the fight, but afterwards, I'm not sure about that. Why? Because a guy forgot where he was after being knocked out. I'm not kidding, guys. This really did happen. And in the very first episode of the Power Slap League, too, Chris Thomas and Chris Kennedy engaged in a slap fight. Thomas managed to knock Kennedy out with just a single strike. What happened after was just disturbing. Kennedy's body went limp as he fell to the ground. The officials rushed in to check on him, and after he returned to consciousness, he couldn't remember what happened. One of the referees told him he was knocked out, and the poor guy couldn't even remember that. He asked the referee, "Got knocked out doing what? Was I fighting?" If that's not sad to see, I don't know what is. And that wasn't the only incident either. The only women's fight featured on the show this season was between Courtney Olsen and Sheena Battery. I guess that's why women live longer than men. Anyway, Battery landed a brutal strike on Olsen, which caused her to crash back to the ground. And she looked dazed, completely concussed, and she still tried to get up. Instead, she lost her balance and rolled forward awkwardly on the floor. Everyone rushed in to help her out, even her opponent. That's just how badly she was hurt. There were countless incidents like these throughout the book.
The crazy Hawaiian has been slept.
There were guys who had swollen cheeks and cut lips, and there were those who couldn't even stand up straight afterward. But they all had one thing in common. They all got hurt, some worse than others. But with head traumas like these, you never know until later.
One, two.
If this outrage continues, I don't think there's going to be a season 2. People are getting seriously injured in the show, and now they've locked all the contestants inside a house together, much like they did on The Ultimate Fighter. I can only imagine how that'll turn out right now. These people are supposed to smack each other to win, and they're now stuck together in a mansion with alcohol. Yep, someone thought that was a good idea. There are a lot of controversies surrounding the Power Slap League, and you must have heard of the slap fight Dana had with his wife, Dana from the club. Needless to say, it was pretty embarrassing for the whites. Later, they admitted they were pretty intoxicated, which was pretty clear in the video, and several eyewitnesses also attested to that. The whole incident took place a few days before the Power Slap League was set to debut. This did push back the premiere by a few days, but with all the criticism the show's been getting lately, it seems likely that it won't continue for much longer. That's all the latest about the Power Slap League. See you in the next one.